Hello everyone, this is the second in a series of video lessons about algebra, and in this case the topic is addition with negatives. Actually, this is part of a subset of lessons that are all about working with negatives, in this case addition, and that's why it says 2A. There will be a lesson 2B about subtraction with negatives, and there will also be video lessons about multiplying and dividing with them. Getting started with the addition with negatives, and oh, by the way, once again, this is intended as review. Now, certainly, all of you have learned how to work with negatives before, and for some of you, it may be so familiar that you don't need the video lesson at all. Let's check and see if that's the case. Here are 8 different expressions in different colors so you can tell them apart. Hit the pause button, go ahead and figure those out on your own without a calculator, of course. Figure those out on your own, and when you come back, I'll show you the right answers. Okay, I'm going to assume that you did that. Here are those right answers. If you were able to figure this out relatively quickly, without a calculator, of course, and get all 8, or at least 7 of them right, and you feel as though it was a silly mistake you made on one of them, then maybe you don't need to watch this video lesson. But I have to tell you, working with negatives is one of the core, basic, essential skills for algebra that I see students every year have a great deal of trouble with. And because of that, I think it's worth your time just to watch this video and practice as much as you can at getting this right. Because if you have this foundation skill in place, then you can build on top of it easily. If it's not solidly in place, then the skills that you put on top of it are going to fall down. I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can pick from, and you can decide what's your best way for adding with negative numbers. First way, as it says here, is the number line method. Second way is what I call the canceling method, and the third way is based on the commutative property. The first 2 methods, I'm going to use images and examples that I've taken straight from the Houghton Mifflin Algebra 1 textbook. And here are just some quick visuals, but these aren't intended to explain all of these, but they at least show you what I mean and maybe help you to differentiate the methods a little bit in your mind. Let's start with the first method, though, the number line method. As I said, this example is taken straight from the Houghton Mifflin textbook. When you're putting together negative 2 plus 5, one way of looking at it is to start at that first number, the negative 2, so place your pencil there. And then move, well, plus 5 means 5 spaces to the right, move 5 spaces to the right, and where you land, in this case, at 3, that's your answer. And so negative 2 plus 5 does turn out to be 3. Likewise, well, here's a slightly more complicated one just because it has an extra term in it. You would start by placing your pencil at negative 3, and then, as this says here, move 5 units to the right. After you've moved 5 units to the right, you will land here at 2. And from here, you're going to move 6 spaces to the left. Negative 6. Anytime it's a negative, you move to the left. Anytime it's a positive, you move to the right. So you're going to move 6 spaces to the left, and when you do that, you're going to finally end up at negative 4. And sure enough, the answer, negative 4, is the right one for the question, negative 3 plus 5 plus negative 6. That's that first way. If that works for you, great. If it doesn't, here's the second way. In this case, what I call the canceling method, what you're looking for is matches between negatives and positives. That textbook example that I'm talking about shows it this way. You pull together a negative with a positive and pair them up. Pull another negative over with a positive, pair them up, and so on until you no longer have matching pairs. Those matching pairs cancel, and whatever you're left with over here is the answer. In this case, you've got 5 negatives, or negative 5, and that's the answer to negative 8 plus 3. That same slightly longer question that we had from the first way is represented here using the canceling method. I've got 3 negatives, 5 positives, and 6 negatives. Do my canceling. These 3 negatives cancel with those 3 positives, and then the remaining 2 positives cancel with those 2 negatives. All I have left here are those 4 negatives, and negative 4 is my answer. The third and last way. As I say, this is based on the commutative property. Here, again, taken straight from the Houghton Mifflin textbook, is their explanation of that commutative property. I'm going to actually give you a different illustration of that. In case you've always had trouble remembering the commutative property, maybe this will help, because I know some students do have trouble remembering this property. You certainly know that 3/4 plus 1/4 make $1. Well, you also know that it doesn't matter what order the quarters come in. If you started with 1/4 and then gained 3, you still have $1. The idea here with the commutative property is that 3 plus 1 turns out to be the same thing as 1 plus 3. You can change the order. As long as the operation stays the same in both cases, then it doesn't matter what order you put the numbers that you're adding in. So, every one of these operations is addition. It may not look like it because you see these negative signs and you think subtraction, but these are negative signs. These are not subtraction signs. So you've got a thing called -3, a thing called 5, and a thing called -6, and you're adding all of them up. If that's true, then just like with the quarters, it's okay to change their order. Put the positive one first, the negative ones later, then combine the negative ones. Maybe that's a little easier. The -3 and the -6 make -9, and 5 plus -9, maybe it's easier to see it that way. That makes -4. I don't particularly care which of these three ways works for you, as long as you find a way that, like I said before, builds you a solid foundation for adding with negatives. If you have that in place, it's going to help you a lot as we go forward with algebra. Here is a final challenge for you. Go ahead and put this set of 6 different numbers together as shown. Hit the pause button. When you come back, I'm going to show you the right answer. Okay, I'm going to assume that you did that. And I hope you got 4. If you didn't, come in and ask questions. If you want to talk about other techniques for combining negatives, let me know, but I hope one of these 3 methods works for you.